Hey, what's new and exciting? It's Kevin O'Shaughnessy here, and in this video, I'm going to give you 3 tips that can help you make better arrangements for your songs. So I'm going to share with you my song, Cast Aside. The end of it has got a lot going on, and from that, we're going to boil down 3 tips that you can use to help make your arrangements better. First, I'll play you the end of the song, then we'll start taking it apart. Obviously, you can hear there's a lot going on there. So how do we make all that work? Well, I'm going to steal some tips from classical counterpoint. Counterpoint is composing with 2 or more melodies that are played simultaneously. Literally, it means note against note. In its simplest definition, melody is just a succession of single notes. So in this case, it's not exactly counterpoint, but I'm going to share with you the 3 tips that I use to make this song that you can use in your own music. Step number 1 is to introduce the different themes separately so that your listener can get a chance to hear them first before you combine all of them. So the first theme that I actually introduce is the rhythm guitar part. I do it right in the introduction. It sounds like this. So there it is, right there at the very beginning. There's nothing else distracting you from hearing that part and being able to recognize it when it comes back. The next part that I introduce is the chorus, and that sounds like this. So the listener can very clearly hear the chorus and also pick out that it's that introductory guitar riff that is supporting it. The next thing I add is an ostinato in the lead guitar. An ostinato it's mostly a classical term, but it's an accompaniment figure that is repeated. So you're just going to hear this thing kind of cycle over and over again. The final element to this whole thing is what I call the B chorus. The B chorus is a completely different lyric and a completely different melody from the original chorus, and it sounds like this. Now you notice that I took the A chorus out so that you could very clearly hear the B chorus. And then at the end, the combined choruses come together and you hear all of the elements at the same time. The next tip has to do with rhythmic activity. You want to make sure that all of your parts have unique rhythms, but more than that, they have to be active at different points so that your ear gets drawn to the active part at the right time. So let's break this down. We'll listen to the rhythm guitar parts and you'll hear that it's basically made up of 8th notes and 16th notes, and that's pretty consistent throughout the entire riff. So you see that usually on the downbeats of the measure are where I have the long notes. Now when I add the ostinato, which is the lead guitar part, you'll hear that that's actually where I put the 16th notes is on the downbeats. Listen to this. And if I put the two of them together, it sounds like this. So you hear that they start to fit together kind of like puzzle pieces because the ostinato is active mostly during the long notes of the rhythm guitar. Now let's listen to the A chorus, which you'll hear is basically one really long note followed by some more rhythmically active material.
I won't be cast aside. No, I won't be cast aside.
Right? Pretty straightforward. And so if I add the guitars back into that mix, it sounds like this.
I won't be cast aside. No, I won't be cast aside.
So you can hear different moments where the rhythm guitar feels like it's the most important part. Then when the lyric won't be cast aside comes along, the vocal is the most important part. And then the ostinato peaks out after that. Now we'll listen to the B chorus and you'll hear that most of its rhythmic activity is in the beginning of its phrase.
You can't hurt me anymore. You can't hurt me anymore. You can't hurt me anymore. No, you can't hurt me anymore.
Now if we just put the two choruses together, it sounds like this.
You can't hurt me anymore. Won't be cast aside. You can't hurt me anymore. No, you can't hurt me anymore. Won't be cast aside. No, you can't hurt me anymore.
Pretty cool, right? So chorus B gives its most important information at the beginning of its phrase. Chorus A gives its most important information at the end of its phrase. And when you put that together again with the whole band, it sounds like this. Tip number 3 is register. Okay, one of the things we got to pay a lot of attention to is what register, or in other words, what octave is everybody performing in. This is especially important when you're talking about male singers and electric guitars. They tend to occupy a lot of the same space in the frequency spectrum. So one of the things that I did, this is not a song that's in drop D tuning. It's in D minor. I don't use drop D though, but I sort of inverted my power chord. So rather than doing the typical root 5 power chord, I put the fifth below it, so I'm actually harmonizing the melody in fourths instead of fifths. It gives it kind of a gritty sound, but it also lowers the register so that I've got room for the vocal. And essentially what's going on between the rhythm guitars and chorus A is they're essentially occupying registers that are an octave apart. Check this out.
Won't be cast aside.
Right, so those two parts are absolutely in no danger of getting in the way of each other. The ostinato in the lead guitar is actually overlapping this a little bit. Its riff is performed in octaves. The lowest note of that octave is actually at the same pitch as the lowest note in the chorus. But then the higher note is the octave above. So what happens is the lead vocal sort of sits in between the two guitar notes.
Won't be cast aside.
The chorus B vocal is basically pitched a third above the chorus A vocal. Check these two out.
You can't hurt me anymore. Won't be cast aside. You can't hurt me anymore. No, you can't hurt me anymore. Won't be cast aside. You can't hurt me anymore.
Looking at the way the tunes are harmonized for chorus A and chorus B is kind of cool too. This is what the melody for chorus A actually sounds like.
I won't be cast aside.
Now when I harmonize that a fourth below on A.
I won't be cast aside.
Now the high notes in chorus B center around F above the D in chorus A. It sounds like this.
You can't hurt me anymore. Won't be cast aside. You can't hurt me anymore. No.
The second voice in that is actually just singing an octave below the melody of chorus B.
You can't hurt me anymore. Won't be cast aside. You can't hurt me anymore. No.
So basically what you've got as far as the arrangement of the two choirs is concerned, you've got the lowest note on F, and then you've got an A, then you've got a D, and then you've got an F above that. So basically the notes of the A chorus are sort of sandwiched in between the notes of the B chorus, and that creates kind of a cool effect. So just to recap, if you want to create more complex music, you want to arrange your songs so that they're a little bit more interesting, here are the 3 tips. Tip number 1. Introduce new themes or parts separately, and then you can combine them. Give your listener an opportunity to get familiar with each part before you try overlapping them. Tip number 2, make sure that all of your parts are more rhythmically active at different times. If you're all playing fills at the same time, then that's going to sound really cluttered. But if you let one instrument fill and then another, then it's going to sound a lot more coherent. Tip number 3, make sure that not everybody is going to be in the same register. Spread it out low to high. So you want to make sure that not only are the notes in different octaves, but that there's a really good balance for each chord between the root, the third, and the fifth. So I hope you found that entertaining and useful. If you did, please subscribe, and I look forward to seeing you in the next video.